Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. This is your host, Aminah Ahmed, and you're watching Muslim Network TV. Welcome back to another episode of NextGen, where we speak to accomplished young people about the changes that they're making in their generation today. You're watching on Galaxy 19 satellite, MuslimNetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV as well. Now, today's guest on NextGen is the youngest guest that we've had to date, 11 years old and in 6th grade, Samara Desai. She's an international winner of the Hindus for Human Rights and Indian American Muslim Council's essay competition. We've actually spoken and promoted this essay competition here on NextGen a couple of weeks ago on the topic of South Asians and solidarity with the civil rights movement. Samara has also received a $1,000 prize as a result of winning this competition. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Samara, you were 11 years old. You were telling me about how when your mom brought up the conversation of, maybe you should write this essay, you were a bit hesitant at first. Tell us about how you got to actually writing this essay. What inspired you?
So in my 6th grade English class, we are learning a lot about social identity, intersectionality, oppression and privilege and things like that. And so we learned about redlining, which is a thing that a practice that banks used to do before the Fair Housing Act of 1968. They would refuse loans for people of color in certain neighborhoods, so that would keep certain groups of people in one neighborhood that they will call hazardous, and white people in better, more new neighborhoods. And when I learned about that, I really thought that I should dive into the topic a little bit more because I was very interested in it. And so I kind of based my essay on that. And so that's kind of what inspired me to do the essay.
Right. So this was something that you were actually learning about in class, and then you thought that you would take this theme and topic and write about it in your essay. Tell us about that $1,000 essay. What is some of the work that you put into there, the stories that you probably talked about in that essay? Tell us about that.
With my so I told a story about my great-grandmother in a well. She was going to get water from a well, and this was right after the independence of India, and she was a Dalit. So so this upper-class woman told her that you can't get water from here because you're a Dalit, and she said, this is free India. We don't we don't discriminate on the caste system anymore. If you have a problem, go take it up with the prime minister. And that's one story that my family is very proud of. Mm-hmm. And so that was so I talk about redlining and the caste system, and how both of those things, even though there's laws passed to stop the practices of discriminating by the caste system and stop redlining, it's still very much alive.
I think that is such an advanced topic that you've taken and put in your essay. The fact that both the caste system and systematic oppression in the United States against Black people are so interconnected. And a lot of people, it takes them, they do PhDs and their masters and all of that, and then they write about issues such as that. But you are in middle school, you've only started middle school, and you're already writing about the intersection of caste-based violence and race-based violence in America. You are phenomenal. I hope you know that. Amazing that you have wrote about that. But what research did you have to do going into writing about this essay? How long did it take you?
With the caste system, I just asked my mom a lot about that because she knows a lot of it and she's a professor. So she had a lot of good articles that I could look at and some of her own articles that she wrote that she obviously wanted me to look at. And with redlining, I just looked at my school. I asked my teacher to send me some articles and stuff, but he just told me to reference back to the articles that he had told us to read for our schoolwork. And I live in Seattle, and that's supposed to be a very liberal city. And he told us to look at this map of redlining in Seattle and where different communities live. And once I saw that it was still very segregated. And so yeah, that I put a lot more research into the redlining because I just knew a lot more about it because of school. And then with the caste system, I just asked my mom everything.
Was there anything that you learned in all of this that surprised you, or were you already familiar with how caste works and redlining, or was there at any point where you're like, wow, I didn't know anything about that?
I knew about the caste system, but I didn't really know a lot about it. I didn't even know the different castes. And I knew that caste discriminating was a thing, but when I go to India, I don't see it because my family's was one of the more privileged ones after the independence of India. And so I didn't know a lot about that. And I learned a lot about that. And then with redlining, I didn't know, I had heard of it. I didn't know much about it. I watched like one video and I didn't really understand it at all. And I knew the practice of keeping Black people in different neighborhoods, but I didn't know how they did it or what they did. And I didn't know that it was other people too, like Jewish people were also, and Asians. So yeah, I learned a lot about different issues.
It seems like you learned a bit about your history, right? You said that your grandmother was a Dalit, and as well as the neighborhood that you live in, which is, like you said, very liberal, but this issue still is one that takes over your neighborhood. But Samara, did you expect to win this? Did you go into that essay competition, submitted? Were you confident that, I'm going to take home the prize? Or was this something that surprised you?
I was very surprised. I sent this essay to my mom's friend, and she said that I would win, but I didn't really believe her because she hadn't read any of the other essays, and I didn't really want to win. Of course, I wanted to do well, but I didn't go in just because I wanted to win. I thought I wanted to learn more about the issues. And winning was just a thing that it would be great if I did, but I just wanted to write a good essay and to learn more about the issues.
And it seemed like you accomplished all of the goals that you set for yourself and more. You learned more about the issue. You wrote a wonderful essay, and I think that everyone on that panel of judges would agree, as well as Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who is the one that awarded you. You are amazing, Samara, and it's an honor to have you on our show today. And Samara, we'll continue talking about your progress, how you wrote that essay, as well as what you did with that prize, how you celebrated right after our short break. You're all watching us on Galaxy 19 Satellite, MuslimNetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV as well. We'll be right back.
Billboards are popping up all over the country with an...
Our neighbors don't realize that Muslims are absolutely opposed to ISIS.
Salam. My name is Abdul Malik Mujahid. I'm an imam in Chicago.
16 shots! No me! No justice! No me!
So how do we bring up the energy which can really have an impact on the world.
You need to build bridges of understanding among people, and we need to have America moving forward. That lesson learned have brought the strength of humanity to America, which is the diversity.
Mujahid Talks, only on Muslim Network TV. Faithfully connected.
Welcome back to NextGen. I'm here with Samara Desai, the 11-year-old winner of the international essay competition on the topic of South Asians and civil rights. Samara, we were talking about your journey in terms of writing that essay, the research that went into it, you talking about your grandmother's story as well, of her being a Dalit and how she kind of stood up to the upper caste women at the story of the well. But Samara, after you won, what was your reaction? How did you feel right after they had said your name?
It was very early for me, so I didn't really process the information for a long time. But once I truly processed it, I was very excited. To celebrate, I wanted to get donuts because I love donuts. So I walked over to the donut shop and I stopped on the way at a friend's house just to say hi. And yeah, that's really all that I did. I had a class right after that I had to do. So of course, I didn't really process it till like the next day.
And what was your family's reaction? Did your friends know that you had, won such a big competition? You were taking home an amazing prize?
My parents were very excited, probably more excited than me. I was still nervous about a speech that I had to give, the acceptance speech or the thank you speech. And I didn't tell my friends because, well, I just didn't think that it would be great if I told them because I didn't want to be too braggy.
Oh, wow.
But I did tell my teachers. I told my English teacher and my homeroom teacher. And I also told my Spanish teacher. And then eventually the word got around to all of the students, well, most of the students in the school and the teachers too. And I've gotten 2 messages from 2 different students in 2 different grades and just congratulating me on the award. And all of my teachers knew. And of course they congratulated me on the award. And it was very nice to see how different people reacted, and I wanted to see how different people I told my teacher, I sent the paper to my teachers, and I just wanted to see how they would react, and I think they took it the right way.
Yes. I don't think that there was a wrong way to take it anyways. You wrote an incredibly moving story, and I think that you did downplay yourself a bit. You were telling me that you had sent it to your mom's friend, and she told you that I think you're going to win this competition, but you didn't believe her. But ultimately, you did end up winning such a wonderful prize and a wonderful competition as well. But Samara, what did you learn from this, right? After writing all of this, you said that you wrote this essay because you wanted to write a good piece. You wanted to be able to learn more. What have you learned?
I learned that even though laws have been passed to stop redlining and caste discrimination, it's still in practice, which makes me very sad. And I also learned that what these issues were. And one of the things that I learned was that my family was very privileged to have been to get to where we are right now. And we were very lucky, but some families were not in this they were not so lucky with these laws. So yeah, that's really what I learned.
In a way, you feel privileged that, you know, your family was able to get out of a situation that a lot of families are still stuck in. But other kids your age, right? Other middle schoolers, people maybe a bit older than you in high school who might not have the same view and perspective that you have. What do you hope that they can learn? What is your message to them about South Asians and civil rights and that solidarity that exists?
I do think that people in my school have always seen me as the Indian kid. And when I went to Portugal, they saw me as the American kid, since I lived in Portugal for 3 months. And just seeing that difference. And there was a group of South Asians in the school. They would always hang out together. And they saw me as an Indian kid as well. They didn't see me as American, or maybe they did. So I want them to see that we're not all the same. We're very different, and we still have problems, I guess, with in America, it's mostly all about race discrimination, and I guess in India, there's the huge problem of caste discrimination, and it works very similar. And I want them people to know in my school and different kids that they're not alone in these problems that they're facing, and that knowledge is very important to get changing these problems.
Thank you so much, Samara. I think that you did a really good job about educating some of our audience about that, you know, process you had to go through to write your essay and what you learned and the experiences that you will be taking away from this essay. Thank you, Samara, for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure. And to our audience, thank you so much for watching and learning about Samara's story. And until next time on NextGen, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.